Thanks for watching the Future Tech Careers YouTube channel. The video you just clicked on is a recording of our event on March 18th titled LinkedIn 101, a discussion with Marilyn and Addy. If you stick around till the end of the video, 2 QR codes will pop up on your screen. One of them is an interest form, which will give you space to provide us with your contact information so we can keep you updated on all things Future Tech Careers. The other will be an event attendance form. This gives you a space to provide feedback on this video. Tell us what you liked and what you didn't like, as well as what you'd like to see from us in the future. This helps us plan events that align with our students' goals and interests. Thanks for watching and enjoy the video. We're good to go, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, hello to everyone on Zoom and hello to everyone in person. As you both know, this is an event in our Career Conversation series hosted by our program Future Tech Careers. And to anyone who's joining us on Zoom who has not attended a Career Conversation event before, Career Conversations are meant to bring in experts from the tech industry who occupy tech roles and non-tech roles to talk about their experience in their corner of tech. So we bring in people to talk about their career journeys, and we also bring in people to lead workshops on important skills for you to have both in tech jobs and non-tech jobs. So for this career conversation, I'm excited to introduce Marilyn Addy, who's the Director of Global Performance Management at LinkedIn, and she'll be giving a LinkedIn 101 workshop. So without further ado, Marilyn, take it away.
Awesome. I'm really excited to be here, both Zoom participants and live. So I'll give you a little bit of a quick introduction to who I am. As Lina said, have been at LinkedIn for 6 years. I actually started my career at LinkedIn focused on career growth and development programming, very similar to the stuff we're going to be talking about today. And now I focus on performance management. And today, what we're actually going to be covering is hopefully it'll be hands-on opportunity for you to really dive into practicing. But the goal is that you walk away with some skills on how to navigate LinkedIn to make it work for you. And I am trying to figure out how to click through. Stretching, Linus, I might need your help. Okay, there we go.
Sorry about that.
All right, no worries. Okay, so we're going to start with just talking about, first of all, what is LinkedIn? What is it not? And why is it so important? What are the key benefits? Then we're going to deep dive into how you actually use it for creating opportunities for yourself, specifically expanding your network and finding work opportunities. And then we're going to talk about what it actually does in terms of schools, connecting you to schools that you might be interested in and alumni. So we're going to do a little bit of a section there. And then we're going to actually spend some time playing around with your LinkedIn profiles, making sure that you actually have really solid profiles. I want to make sure, Linus will be my time check to ensure we have a good 15 to 20 minutes at the end to do that. Okay. And then as we dive in, let me just give you some grounding, a little bit of quick hit stats to make sure you understand the benefits of LinkedIn. Number one, to making sure you can build your network, and we're going to talk about what that means, and then connect into opportunity. The one I love is more than 1 billion professionals are currently on LinkedIn right now. If you think about like the portion of the world that's pretty incredible. So if it's really a situation where you are trying to expand your network, LinkedIn is the place to be. And 3 people are hired every single minute on LinkedIn. And so those are just some stats that kind of help you understand just how powerful this tool can be. So without further ado, let's talk about specifically what it means to build your professional network. A lot of people don't realize, but the power of LinkedIn is really not just about your first degree connections, which is what you'll see in a lot of other social media platforms, where it's like, who are you directly connected to? Who's following you? That's only one little piece of the puzzle for LinkedIn. The magic comes from who your second degree connections are and who your third degree connections. Research shows that job opportunities, a lot of them come from those second and third degree connections. A lot of people always think it's the first, but it's actually the second and third degree. Those are called your loose networks, the friends of friends, the people who you know of through somebody else. That's actually where research shows a lot of opportunities come from. So that's why we're going to spend a little bit of time thinking and looking at how do you actually access those second and third degree connections to become mentors for you or sponsors or something that's going to help you advance your particular goals. So I wanted to start with that. And just a quick note that LinkedIn is built for cold outreach. So what that means is that we have a lot of great tools to allow you to actually just reach out to those second and third degree connections. I'll give you some tips and tricks on how to do that. But that's what the tool is built for. So you can send direct messaging. You can ask for those connections to become your connections through our connection tool. And we're going to play around with all of that. But that's actually what the magic is in this tool. And then another thing that I want to talk through is like when it comes to finding connections, that's actually where a lot of people underutilize LinkedIn. So there are so many cool ways to figure out who are the type of people that I want to connect to, whether it's alumni from the schools you're attending or interested in. We're going to play around with that for a second. Whether it's I'm interested in this particular company, so let me look at the jobs and see who works there so I can reach out to them and see if there are any connections. The way you actually leverage LinkedIn effectively is by focusing on how you can expand your second and third degree connections through different methods. So with that said, we're going to actually switch and take a look at the platform. We're going to look at Linus's profile as a starting place. And I'm going to switch over so we can actually like get in the tool. If you have your computer open, and does everybody have a LinkedIn profile? Yeah. Okay. And if you don't, okay, so let's start with the basics of getting logged in. So if you go to linkedin.com, you will be able to, yes, please. You will be able to log in and start your profile building. So it's going to ask you for some basic information to set up your account. And I would encourage you to, even as we're talking, go ahead and set that up now so that you can play around with it. But even if you don't have an account, we're going to are in groups so that you actually can look on each other's profile and build out what you need. So once you actually set up, hi everyone who just walked in, we are diving into the actual LinkedIn page to help you understand how to leverage this platform. Okay, we're going to spend time at the end of the workshop actually building out an account. Linus has a very nice account, so I really like being able to use this one as an example. But before we actually build our profiles, I just want to show you some navigation tools that are pretty critical. Okay, so to start, when you set up an account, your profile page is like your core hub of telling your story, okay? When it comes to identifiers of who you are, a big part of your story are going to be in a couple of things. There is your headline. So you define what is your headline. Think about it as like your tagline. Like, you know how like companies have like a motto or a brand like statement? That is your headline. That's what you should be thinking about there. Then there is your profile summary. And Linus has a beautiful about section. This is often one of the things people go to learn a little bit about you. And then the other thing that is going to be critical is building out your experience. This is the thing that's probably the most important as you think about setting yourself up for job opportunities, is being able to outline all of the different things that you've done in your experience and calling out explicitly what is the impact that you had in those areas. So we're going to talk about how to do that. Now, we'll come back to that, but what I want to go to now is your network. This is where the magic happens. So when you go to this network tab at the top, you will be able to see your direct connections. When you are new to LinkedIn, you might not have a lot of direct connections, and that is okay. Why? Because fancy schmancy algorithms and such, AI and all of that, helps to set up for you people you may know. And where that comes from is you filling out your profile so it knows what school you attend, what you're interested in, where you're living, and it'll automatically populate who might be a good contact for you based on connections that seem to like people at your school, like people who've worked at the same jobs. So this is a great place for you to start whenever you're building out your profile. And if you ever have questions, either in the chat or live, just stop me because I talk really fast because I get really excited about this stuff. Okay, so if you're just getting started, this is the first place you start, people you may know. However, like I told you, that's not the main connections aren't where you end. The main connection that you want to use is the broader second and third degree connections. So how you do that and I'm telling you this because you're going to do an activity in a second, is let's look at, hopefully Linus doesn't mind me poking around his connections. So if I click on his connections, he can see his 262 people that are directly connected to him. There are a couple of ways to find additional connections. So the first thing is, let's say I am curious about wanting to get to know more about West Michigan Works. I have this contact who works there, and this Jennifer. Jennifer's awesome. She's my first degree connection. But I actually want to expand my network because I'm really curious about her organization, and I might want to work there someday. So I really want to figure out who are some other people I can get to know from Jennifer's networks. So what I'll do is I will go to Jennifer's connections. And you see this little second right here, second degree. Do you remember what that is? Second degree connection is just somebody who knows the person that you know. It's like we have a friend in common. Think about second degree connections as we have a friend in common. It's Angel, right? Okay. Angel and I have Linus in common. You're my second degree connection if Linus is my first degree connection. Why is that important? Because if I want to establish a connection with Erika, I can connect with her and say, hey, we have, what is her name? Jennifer in common. Would you be willing to connect with me? And what I would do here is send her a connection and add a note and specifically spell that out. And that is free to you to do. And if she responds and says, you know what, I do know Jennifer, she's pretty cool. So she says you're cool, I'm cool with you. She can accept me as a connection free of charge, even though she's a complete stranger to me. And now we are connected. And now I have access to a brand new host of second degree connections. Does that make sense? So that's a little bit how you navigate the finding people piece. All right, so now let's talk about actually finding opportunities. And there are a lot of different ways you can do this search. So if you notice right here, anytime you go to connections, you can get very specific on who you want to search for, okay? So let's say I'm interested in I want a job at GRCC. Let's say that. I'm really curious about how I can get a job there, but I want to know who works there. So you can go to, and if I'm going too fast, just slow me down, okay? You can go to a company, a school, any organization's page, and I'm going to ask you, somebody tell me where you think I can find people who are connected with GRCC. Where can I find that? Just based on what you see right here. Where's that?
Under people.
Exactly. Immediately, anytime you look up an organization, it automatically populates people who are associated with that place. So imagine how cool that is. I want to work at Google, and you immediately find the people who are associated, and it always sorts by your connections. So if there are first connections, they will pop up first. If there's second connections, they will pop up second. So Linus doesn't, I don't know why you don't have a ton of first connections at GRCC, but it's all good. We're not going to judge you for that. So what we would do is say, hey, I want to figure out who at GRCC I can connect with. And I see some secondary connections, and I can go to these individual people, and then I can find out who is the friend of the friend that connects us. The reason that's important is you don't ever want to cold call somebody and they're like, I don't know where you came from. Like, who are you, right? A lot of times this is your secret sauce to be able to say right here, and it's kind of hidden, so that's why I want to call this out. This is where you can find the friend of the friend, how we're connected. Linus doesn't know Alyssa, but he knows, I hope you know, because they're your connection.
Yep.
He knows Kaylee, Victoria, Jamelia, and Consuelo, right? And they're all friends with this person he wants to reach out to. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to pause. Any questions so far? You rocking with me? Okay, so last thing we're going to do before we jump in and just have you play around with it is jobs. Because this is what I know a lot of you care about, right? Or opportunities for the future. So jobs always are at the top, the little briefcase. That's how you go to jobs. All right. And so one thing that I think is probably one thing I should explicitly explain is that this search bar changes for every tab that you hit, okay? So when I'm going to jobs, I automatically have a new search bar. And the ability to search in here is pretty massive. You can type in any random thing that you're interested in. Can I get a volunteer? What is one opportunity you're interested in exploring when you're done with school? Anybody?
Network. Computer networking.
Computer networking. Okay, so you can start with keyword just to get you some ideas, right? So where do you want to work? What location?
Brand.
Grand Rapids. Okay. Now, what happens is, boom, automatically I get a list of potential computer networking opportunities. That's all well and good, but I think the magic is, again, these specific things at the top to really help you drill down in what you want to do. So, for example, would you be willing to work remotely?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So you want to, the goal of this is you want to expand your search as much as possible to include all the opportunities. You don't want to miss out on anything that could be a good fit for you. So if you're open to working remotely, go ahead and pop remote. If you're open to working on site or hybrid, click all of those. But if you're specifically looking for just remote, then you can just say, just show me remote opportunities locally. But let's say we want all of them. And we want to proactively select remote so it knows to include that, right? And then you can also look at specifically experience level, salary, all of those different things. So with your powers combined, now knowing how to find people who can help you and also how to find the jobs, that allows you to open up a whole host of opportunities for yourself. What if I told you that, what if you wanted to work for a very specific company and you wanted to figure out a way of getting like a coffee chat? What might you want to do?
Connect with people that are already working.
Yep, exactly. So if we look at Deloitte, let's look at EY because they have a lot of presence in Grand Rapids, right? So if we look at something like EY, usually you'll not only see this job opportunity posted, but you'll also see specifically an opportunity for you to click on the company logo itself to take you to their page. So you can go to people, okay? And these job pages are usually built out very extensively to ensure that you have like all of the insights of, what the job is and the company is. But what is most important for you is this little hidden link is the magic link, right? Because at EY, Linus knows these people who are connected to EY, and that could be a first place for him to start in terms of understanding who works there. Or you can go directly to people. And this is my favorite part. When you go to people associated with a company, you can drill down to very specific people. Like I at EY specifically only want to talk to the people who are in engineering. And then I can click into that, and then it updates my list. And then it tells me people I might know, whether first degree connections, second degree connections, or third. Okay? All right, so I'm gonna stop here. We're gonna do a quick little activity to kind of like let you play around with the tool and then ask questions, and then we're gonna debrief. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the first thing I want, and especially you all online too, I want you to go ahead and try to do this. And you can also put in the chat if you have any questions. We are going to explore your actual interest areas in terms of jobs. And I want you to actually be very specific with what you're trying to do. I need your help again, Linus. Yeah. Okay. Okay, we're gonna call this opportunity discovery. So I'm gonna ask you to take a second and think about what are the opportunities that you want to go for, whether it's currently or after school's done or whatever timing makes sense. What are the job opportunities that you want to go for? And be specific about where you want to do it. So I give a couple of examples here. Grand Rapids, if you want to stay locally, be specific about that. And what are the areas that you want to work in? You said networking, it could be cybersecurity, software development, data science, whatever is your particular area of interest. Would love to like really anchor on that so that we can use it as an example. And what we're gonna do is I want to see who can find as many opportunities as possible. Who can find the most opportunities that they would actually pursue in 5 minutes? That's it. 5 minutes. How many job opportunities that you would actually click apply, go through the whole process because you think it would be a good job for you? How many activities you can find in 5 minutes? Got it? And if you don't have an account, I actually think maybe we can like pair up and see, does everybody who has a LinkedIn account that they could use for this activity? So 1, 2, oh, yeah, look at that. Okay, boom. All right, I think since it's a small group, we can just keep everyone by yourself. If you want to work with each other, that works. But I'm gonna give you 5 minutes to go ahead and like use as many different ways as possible to find these opportunities. You can go to the jobs tab, you can go through people that are doing similar things to what you want to do and find jobs that they are working at and maybe go to their companies. So be creative. And then we're going to debrief how you found these opportunities. Okay, got it? All right. And again, for those of you online, you can just ping in the chat if you have any questions, but would love for you to participate in this activity as well. It's really so much with this.
It is tricky. I think the bridge is like here
Aha,
is here.
got it. Now that is all I needed.
And it's currently 4:51 if you wanted to start the Q&A portion at 5 or 5:05.
Okay,
That'll give us like 10 or 15 minutes.
perfect. Actually, I'm only going to give you like 2 minutes because there's some other stuff I want us to do with profiles. So we'll just do a quick 2 minutes, scan as many opportunities as possible. Okay, we'll do 1 more minute. Hello. Just doing an activity. If you want to pull out your computer, if you have a LinkedIn account, we're just trying to find as many job opportunities as possible that are in line with your interest areas. Okay. All right. How many people found at least one opportunity? Raise your hand. How many people found at least 5? Okay. Did anybody find more than 5 opportunities that they would apply for? Okay. How many did you find? 14. Okay. Can anybody beat that? Okay, it wasn't actually a competition. But okay, so I'm sorry, what's your name? Say again? Musi. Okay, can you tell me a little bit about how you found those opportunities? Mm-hmm.
level.
Awesome. Awesome. So you stay primarily like in the jobs function, right? And search there. Did anybody do anything beyond the jobs function, like to find opportunities? I'm curious. Interesting. Okay, cool. Well, the jobs function is the jobs page is the primary thing, but one thing I would encourage you all to do is to think about going to alumni from GRCC and looking at areas where you have common interests in terms of what they've done. Because I remember I showed you where you can look at like you can find engineering alumni and by kind of area of expertise. That is a really cool way to search for jobs as well, because then it can point you to companies that might not have even been on your radar. So that's another thing I would encourage you to do as well. All right, really quickly, let's actually dive into, let's say you find the opportunities. What do you do next, right? How do you actually pursue those opportunities? So this is actually where your profile is super important and making sure that you have a really, really good one. And so I want to give you a couple of quick tips to how you build out your profile and what gets you noticed. So the first thing I want to call out is that just tactically speaking, anywhere where you see a pencil is where you can edit your profile. And you get to decide what sections are included when somebody goes to your profile. Okay. So you get to decide if you want to have like your education on there, your skills, your interests. You get to kind of pick and choose how that shows up. 3 things you must do to have a profile that gets noticed by recruiters. So when you actually click apply, the first thing that anybody does who has the LinkedIn, who posted a job on LinkedIn, if you're applying from LinkedIn, the first thing they're going to do is not go to your resume, they're going to go to your profile. Did you know that? So they actually use your profile before they even go to your resume. And being in recruitment, I can promise you that is true. So what you want to make sure you do, 3 core things. First is the first section up here is like, think about it again as your brand, right? You want to have a good updated photo. I know it feels like ridiculous to like make sure that you have a good song. Linus is actually like best practice here, like very like clear, well, high quality professional photo. That's important. It doesn't have to be this buttoned up suit, though I love it. It doesn't have to be the buttoned up suit photo. It could be whatever represents you, right? If you are an engineer and you have a sweatshirt on or whatever, as long as the photo represents your brand in the way that you want, okay? Second thing, your headline. Again, I can't tell, some people will look at the headline before they look at anything else because you come up in a list view of all candidates, and that might be the only thing they see from you. So you want to make sure that that headline catches their attention in what you're interested in. So we can actually, we don't have a ton of time, but if you see Consuela, she has job developer as like one of her core tag headlines. Why is that important? Because if I'm a recruiter and I'm scanning through 100 of candidates and I see that and I'm like, oh, okay, that's actually what I'm looking for, I'm going to be more likely to click on her. Does that make sense? Because you're always shown in this very little box. That's your initial box. You want to make sure that headline is catching. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing is your experience. This is where I want to spend some time, because this is actually what is the most important. So when you're thinking about your experience, even as students, do not undersell the experience you've had, whether it is volunteering, whether it is stuff you've done here at school in clubs, whatever it is, put it all on there, okay? As long as it showcases what you are uniquely talented and how you add value to organizations. So for example, the biggest thing you want to be thinking about with your experience is like a resume, right? Where you want to have like, what is the title of the thing I've done? What is the organization that I did it for? And it'll ask you all of these things when you fill it out. And I can actually just show you really quickly. I don't want to mess up Linus's profile, but basically for each piece of experience, it'll guide you step by filling out all of the answers to the question. What is the title? What kind of employment was it? Doesn't have to be full-time. It could be an internship. It could be part-time, whatever it is, right? Then it gives you start and end date, and then the description. We now have Gen AI helping you with these descriptions if you get the premium. Even if you don't have the premium, 2 quick points on this. Make sure that this is not just a laundry list of tasks you've done, but how you've made an impact. So think action verb. Linus again has a great profile, coaching students to become emerging tech professionals, spearheading the creation. So using very clear action verbs on what you uniquely did. If you volunteer, if you babysat, right? You had a job babysitting. I managed household activities. Use words that are very descriptive to say how you actually added value. Does that make sense? What we see go wrong a lot of times is people will have all this stuff filled out, like I was this title, and not fill out any description. And that doesn't help you because I don't actually know what you accomplished in that job as a recruiter. So that's the third thing I want to make sure that you cover is making sure that your profile is very thorough. And we wanted to have time to build out a little bit, but Linus, how am I doing on time? Okay. So Q&A might actually be the better path for us right now. Okay. So unfortunately, we didn't have time to play around with it, but I'm happy to answer questions about how you present yourself most effectively with your profile or anything related to what we talked about. So I'll stop here, I'll take a breath, and I'll kick it over to you all for any questions that you have.
I'll get started.
Yes.
Let's say, when we go back to the headline and you mentioned Consuelo's job developer. How about if you're kind of a student and aspiring to a role in the industry? How would you create a headline that's
Yep.
something more aspirational?
That's such a great question. And actually, I think I have a couple. You're not friends. Well, okay. So the first thing I would say is you can say aspiring software engineer. You can say that. And that actually is really great because it shows, again, like where your skill set is. And even if you don't have the experience to kind of like build out yet, you can, again, catch them in the headline. And then in your about section, that's where you tell that story. So if we go to, and this is specifically for students where you have a lot of real estate, to just say whatever it is that you want an employer or internship manager to know about you is this section right here. So this section about is also, think of it like your cover letter. Like and think about it as a story. I have been really passionate about software development for the past 5 years. I've explored this through multiple internships, and I am, hoping to find a job in X, Y, and Z. You can build that out in your about section, even if you don't have a ton of experience to fill out in the experience section. That's actually where you tell that story. You can say, I'm a student at, Grand Rapids Community College in the Future Techs program, and like build that out so that you want to think about it as what is the hook? So if there's another alumni from GRCC, they see it and they see that I'm interested in engineering and they read that about section and they have more of an interest in connecting with me or giving me opportunities. What are going to be the things that give you that like hook to get somebody interested in your story? Does that make sense? So this is where you would do that, I think, a little bit more as a student. Another place you would do that is in your, at the bottom section, where you have skills and interests. So skills specifically are your students. You have a lot of skills. What are the classes you've taken? Any certifications you've done? That's where that goes. It's like a whole ton of skills that you could put there to say like, I've done these things. And there's also certifications. You don't have it, Linus, but if you've done like any certifications, you can put that on your page as well. So anything that, again, will tell your story as a student, that'll be helpful as well. Any other questions?
Oh, go ahead. Thank you.
No, did you have a question?
No.
Okay. You're just thinking, okay.
I went through at one point, like applying to some jobs on LinkedIn. And I applied to like 100 jobs and I was qualified for those jobs too. And then I got zero feedback. I just got completely ghosted by these companies. And when I looked into it a little bit, I found out that some companies will actually post jobs without any intention of hiring for that person.
Yeah.
And so, like, again, reading on things like Reddit, which is not probably the best source, that like it's not good anymore to apply for jobs on LinkedIn. So, like, do you have a thought on that?
Yeah, so I have a lot of thoughts on that. So, what I don't recommend is going the easy way out. That's why I spent so much time talking about networking, because when you apply for a job, let me just show you this. Let's just pick any job. Let's say this one. Okay. So a lot of times you'll see this apply button. I'm probably not supposed to say this on camera, but a lot of times that goes into the ethers. Like you can hit that, you can submit your resume, and you are going to be one of 300, 400 people who hit that same button, right? And so how does one stand out if you just hit a button that 100, 300 other people are hitting, right? How do you, based on what we talked about before, how do you stand out in a pool of 300 people?
You go on the company, then you hire you try to add the people, send them like a note or something.
Boom.
You're interested in that field or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. I would never give anyone the advice to just apply on LinkedIn. I don't think that's effective. I think the beauty of LinkedIn is exactly what what's your name? Dina. Okay. The beauty of what he just said is the reason you want to apply on LinkedIn is because you are able to directly connect with people who actually can help you get an interview at that company. Resumes don't do it alone anymore. Applications don't do it. What does it is having at least one person who you've connected with, either on the phone, live, just to like say, hey, I'm interested in your company. I would love to learn more about this company. People love talking about themselves. People love giving you advice. So you do the cold call outreach to make sure that like somebody knows that you're an actual human being and not just a resume in the pile. And you ask for them to give you a coffee chat, an informational interview, something along those lines to be able to say, and by the way, I'm also applying for this specific job at your company. If you have any advice for me for how I can stand out as a candidate, let me know. And what does that do? That little sends little alarm bells for them to think about, like if they know somebody from that organization or if they know a recruiter to kind of help put your name in the hat. Does that make sense? So you don't want to go to them. Please don't reach out to people and say, hey, I'm looking for a job at your company. Would you talk to me? Because most people are going to be like, I don't like, who are you, right? But if you say, I know the secondary connection, I know Noah from your company, and he says it's great, and this is my dream company. Would you be willing to chat with me for a couple minutes about what makes your company so great? Would you be willing to talk to me about, I see you've been an engineer for 4 years. Would you be willing to talk to me about how you broke into this field? You got to be really strategic. So I'm gonna, if you heard nothing else in this entire presentation, don't cold apply to these things thinking that like that's gonna be your ticket. It may work in some cases, but for the most part, the beauty of LinkedIn is being able to get access to people who can help you get a foot in the door. Does that make sense? And you can ask for informational interviews, you can ask for referrals, or my favorite one that has gotten me multiple jobs is just asking for a virtual coffee chat. I want to learn more about how you are so amazing. Basically, that's how you frame it. I want to learn more about how you do the thing that you do, how you've been able to be so successful. And not only is that great for getting the job, but now you might even have a mentor out of this situation, right? That can help you think about even if it's not that job you applied for, other jobs that might come up that might be a better fit for you. Does that make sense? So great question. Any other questions?
This might be LinkedIn 201, but the value of commenting on other posts or creating your own
Yes.
original content. Can you talk about how that maybe helps?
Thank you for bringing that up. So LinkedIn, like any social media, is based on an algorithm, right? So the more you engage, the more LinkedIn's like, I'm happy. I'm going to make sure your posts are more visible. I'm going to make sure that you are more visible. So the way to kind of like get more connected with people is by engaging on their posts. And that actually sends a signal to them. Not only do they see that you like something or you commented on something, but when you have activity in your feed, then it also is more likely to show them what's in your feed, if that makes sense. So the more active you are on LinkedIn, the more impressions you're going to get. So I don't know, how many of you are a creator or know a creator on social media? Okay, we got a couple of creators in the room. How many of you know social media creators? Like do you follow any? Okay. And so what's your name in the back? Victoria, Victoria. What do you need to do as a creator to get following?
To get more engagement.
Exactly. No, that's exactly it. To get visibility, you have to post, right? And you have to, it's not just posting, but it's also just like engaging on other posts, right? So LinkedIn works the same way. A lot of people think it's all super stuffy because it's professional, but you'll see that actually there are a lot of creators on LinkedIn as well. Linus isn't connected to a lot of creators, and that's okay. But this is like a burgeoning area of like interest for folks. So a lot of folks are now starting to do videos. I just saw one that I was like, oh, that looks like yeah, just anyway. The point being is like the more you engage, the more engagement you'll get. Yeah. Was that helpful?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And it works. I mean, I've been using it for a long time. Definitely can see the difference when I'm posting something.
Yeah.
On a regular basis in terms of this connection.
Exactly. And the more, and it's funny, the way I got connected to this opportunity was a post that I saw, and I was like, and it said, does anybody have LinkedIn experience? And I was like, I got LinkedIn. This would be great. And a friend of a friend who was connected, somebody named Shannon, was my connection. We were not connections, but she posted on his post. And then I saw it and was like, oh, I'd love to do this. So it's like little things that happen like that. And again, we're secondary, now we're first degree connections, and we now have access to other folks' secondary. So you got to leverage it to work for you. And I know we're almost at time. So any other final questions? Yeah, please. Yeah, and I'm happy to do a quick, would you like to do one live?
Yes.
Okay, are we good with that? I know we have a couple more minutes. Yeah. Okay, so what we're gonna do is pull up your, oh, you're on it. Okay. First of all, thank you for being brave, because I know this stuff is sometimes a little intimidating. So let's talk about your profile. First of all, right away, I actually really love this picture. One thing that people don't leverage is the banner photos, because that's actually a way to put in your unique style. So that I think that's really cool. What is one thing you think I might say about your profile picture?
It's not like clear, I guess. Yeah.
Yes. So it seems so minor, but like a clear headshot makes all the difference, because that is the first thing somebody sees about you in terms of, is this person the type of professional I would want working at my company, right? You got to think about it that way.
Yeah.
But it's a fine picture, but I would opt for something that's a little bit maybe closer, or even if it's not closer, you still want your full body, make sure it's clear where we can see your face. Okay, so that's great. Love your headline. Why? Honors college student. Why do I love that? Because you immediately said, I'm the bomb and you should know it, right? Like that's the kind of stuff you want in your headline. Why do I love this part? Pursuing degrees in X, Y, and Z. Because now I know what skill sets are you getting in real time, right? Aspiring. Did you practice before we came here? I promise I did not plant him. I did not plant him. Okay, so aspiring cyber, perfect, experienced, beautiful. Now, the only thing I would call out about this is maybe you might want to shorten it to some of the most critical things, but overall, I think it's solid. Like, I think that's great. Another thing I would say is I already immediately noticed that you have a really good length about section. And one thing that we didn't talk about, but you actually could put in your, we talked about as students, what you can put in. This is what I was saying about the about section. What are the programming languages that you know, things like that. That's where you can put it, okay?
Okay.
So I immediately noticed that. That was great. The only other thing is, I'm wondering if you put it at the end as well, because I'm going to make sure that you did. Okay, so one thing that you can turn on or off is how prominent this activity section is. Some people have a prominent activity section. if you are a creator and you want to showcase different like things you've done, like if you're like a graphic designer, you can change that section to like a featured section and put in like rich text media or whatever you want to showcase. Just keep that in mind. So yours is fine, but I think there's also some cool stuff you could do there. We could talk after. Okay, experience. Not a ton of experience. That's okay. That's fine because you had a really nice about section. You have your education. This is the area where I was going to see where you were. Skills. Does everybody see this? So if you don't have a lot of experience, this is where you beef up how much skills you have, okay? One thing to know about skills is that when recruiters are looking for candidates, they search by skills. Did you know that? Yeah. So make sure you got your skills updated because if I'm looking for somebody who has really strong communication skills, think about a job description. How are job descriptions built out? By skills, right? So to shortcut that, recruiters will literally type in, here are the 10 skills that are a minimum requirement for this job. And then I will, as a recruiter, find a list of all the people who have those skills. Does that make sense? So that's a shortcut that recruiters will use. So it's really great that you build out your skills. Now, I'm going to ask you something, and I know we are at time, but real quick. Have you done anything beyond this on a volunteer basis? Have you done any other place in your life where you've done like coding or something that would be relevant for opportunities you want to pursue?
No, but I do like volunteering, which I think.
Okay, so that will be the one thing that I think is missing. And I think a lot of people underestimate how important volunteering is when you don't have a ton of work experience. You beef that up to a max. And you think about all of the skills that you use in those volunteering areas because that is just as important. At the end of the day, right now, what a lot of companies are hiring for is not just experience, but the skills that you demonstrated. And if that's in a volunteering capacity, that is fine. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So honestly, I think you have a really solid profile. Just those like small tweaks.
Yeah.
And making sure that you have that volunteering section built out and your skills really prominent. I think you're good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure. And I expect every single person to connect with me on LinkedIn. So you have access to my secondary connections. And I have 3,000. So if you're interested in a particular area, I encourage you to peruse my secondary connections. And I'm always happy to make an introduction for you if there's something you're interested in, okay?
I got another quick comment.
Yep.
On this profile, I like that you said you liked his banner.
Yeah,
Because I think sometimes people get caught up in, I gotta be super like.
yeah.
I like that.
This
To
is-
me, it stuck out.
And it's unique, right?
Yeah.
Like I come here I'm like, oh, that is really unique. Yeah.
Yeah.
Create that with a co-pilot.
Oh,
Like
that
a
is really.
AI.
Did you say that you have AI skills? Okay, if you are not putting your AI skills on your profile, that's a problem. Because right now the number one in demand skill for tech jobs is what? AI. So the fact that you did this via AI shows me you have some level of skills. I would actually call that out prominently in your about section.
Okay.
Or I would actually, if there's any like way you've been able to demonstrate that in volunteer clubs, anything, I would put that out in there as well. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you for being a partner with me in talking through this stuff. So with that said, I have to run. Like it's my 2-year-old's birthday today, and he doesn't know what's going on, so it's fine. But I do need to head out soon. But like I said, please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to be a resource for you. And we have some resources and handouts for you. Yeah.
How do we?
Oh, duh. How did I not talk about that? Thank you, sir. Real quick. So look me up. Anytime you want to connect with anybody, be a name. Just go to the search. Look me up, Marilyn, Addy. Boom, Linus and I are already connected. How about that? And you just pop it up and then you'll see a list. And if you want, here's my profile. You can see. And yeah, just connect with me. Another thing, one more thing. And I actually will leave you on this. A lot of times you might not see connections right away up here. This is actually where there will be a connect button, right? Click on more, and then usually it'll be in the drop-down list. That because you can determine privacy wise, who you want to connect with you automatically. So if you do not see a connect button, do not panic and say, oh my gosh, I can't connect with them. No, just click more and it'll be there. Okay. And just connect with me. And yeah, like I said, I'm happy to be a resource. And we'll probably do a fun little raffle like outside of this meeting. I have LinkedIn premium accounts that I'd love to gift. I have about 4 that I can gift. So we'll like maybe put some names in a hat and see who will win the LinkedIn premium subscription. That gives you, the last thing I'll say, gives you access to LinkedIn Learning. So LinkedIn Learning is free with premium, and it's like millions of like courses and certifications that you can get as well. Okay? Cool. All right. Hopefully this was helpful. It was great meeting you. Thank you so much. All right.
Since you're for your
Okay. Perfect. Perfect.
let's get one more round of applause for Marilyn. That was it. So as Marilyn said, she has LinkedIn. Thank you. She has LinkedIn premium subscriptions to get out, and we actually have a perfect way to create that raffle right now. But before I get to that, I'm just going to present some announcements that are future tech related. So if you thought this was helpful, you've learned a little bit more about online networking. How do I use LinkedIn? This is great. LinkedIn only helps you when you're networking on your laptop or on your phone. But if you find yourself in a situation where you're meeting someone and they are doing exactly what you want to do, but you don't know what to say to them to learn more, or how to introduce yourself, or how to advertise who you are, this workshop is for you because it takes all the skills that you're learning and already strengthening by using LinkedIn and teaches you to apply them to real life in-person conversations. So we have a networking 101 workshop with Travis Lark. This is next week, Wednesday, same room, also on Zoom, March 26th at 5 p.m. So if you're interested and want to RSVP, you can scan this QR code. I'll also send a follow-up email, probably sometime tomorrow with information about this. Now, this is the last part before we get to more about the raffle. So if you've come to an info session for Future Tech before, I'm sure you remember me saying that by being a part of Future Tech careers, you'll gain access to internships and other work-based learning opportunities. If that's something that's interesting to you, you're going to want to apply to be a Future Tech ambassador. We're in the development process of creating multiple internship opportunities both for this summer and moving forward. But in order to gain access to those, you have to be a Future Tech ambassador. And all this means is that you have to fill out a little application and tell us a little bit more about what your aspirations are when it comes to being a part of Future Tech and becoming an emerging tech professional. Because we want to be connecting people to internship opportunities that are motivated and ready to do so. So you can scan this QR code to apply. By becoming an ambassador, you'll gain also additional tuition assistance. You'll gain access to those internship opportunities. And you'll also have the opportunity to go to paid internships, go to conferences where we pay for your tickets. So again, scan this QR code. I'll also be sending out information about this in a follow-up email tomorrow. And then finally, if you're interested in winning the LinkedIn premium raffle that Marilyn was talking about, I will put all the names of people who either fill out the interest form or the event attendance form into a hat and choose the raffle from that. So if you've already been to a Future Tech event, don't scan the interest form, scan the event attendance form. I can move people out of the way to make it a little bit easier. So what this does is it helps create an opportunity for us to better reach out to you. So if you haven't filled out the interest form, this is a space for us to get your email, other contact information, and the times you're available during the week so we can plan Future Tech events that fit with your schedule. And then with the event attendance form, this just gives us a way to track your participation as well as hear your feedback and learn about what about our events you like, what events you'd like to see more of, just so we can plan more events that align with your interests and your goals. So again, if you want to win that LinkedIn Premium subscription that Marilyn was advertising, it's such a great resource. You now have all of these LinkedIn skills, and if you want to be able to use them, all you have to do is fill out this QR code and your name will be put into a bucket and we'll choose, I think she said 4 names from that selection. And this goes to everyone on Zoom as well. Scan the QR code on screen. So that officially closes up this event. If you have any questions for me, Dave, or John, feel free to stick around. If not, we hope to see you next week, Wednesday, and look out for an email from me regarding follow-up from this event.